How you loving? How you loving? How you loving? Welcome. We're reading the Bible. We're reading the entire Bible. Wow. You and I are reading the entire Bible. Is that an adventure or what? Now, before we get started, let me make a correction from yesterday. I went down the rabbit hole a little bit with Dinah and the graping situation, and I got more insight, and Dia was correct. So when Dia comes into the chat, Dia, let us know if you're here in the chat. She's here every day, pretty much. And I love that we're having this discussion back and forth with about the Bible. So let's talk about Dinah and the experience of Dinah. And I must apologize. The Christians were right this time. The Christians were actually right this time. It's not often that I say that. Most of the time, I'm talking about all the ways that they pulled the wool over our eyes and tricked us, and on and on and on. So I had to go down the rabbit hole of Dinah and what was going on with Dinah. So let's go to what I found, and we will get this whole situation with Dinah clear. And then we are going to read Genesis 35 and 36. Hello, welcome, welcome, welcome. Blessed morning, blessed afternoon, blessed evening, whenever you may be watching this. I am Reverend Valerie Love, also known as Kaisi. I am the author of 26 books on practical spirituality, Christian witchcraft, magic, and the occult. And of course, the real God is not in the Bible. There I am live. So I'm going to go to my YouTube channel and I'm going to go to yesterday's live stream. So let's go to live. And this is yesterday's live stream right here. Esau and Jacob reunited, the disturbing story of Dinah. Now, in the pinned comment, I haven't gone through comments for yesterday yet today. I love it, goes down in the comments, or it goes up in the comments. The discussion in the comments is just, I just love it. I love doing this with y'all. I love it. Wow, new revelation sparks every day, every day, every day. One book of the Bible shouldn't just be named, just one book of the Bible shouldn't be named Revelation. The whole Bible is Revelation. It's just revelation upon revelation upon revelation. In the comments, you all have asked me, what Bible am I reading from with the footnotes? And this is the Bible that I'm reading from. I have linked it right here on YouTube. And any of the things that we talk about in that particular episode, they will be linked on YouTube and in the pinned comment. So let's go to, oh, thank you so much, Rebella. I love that. I love that. All right, let's go to the correction. I put a correction in the pinned comment under our discussion yesterday. And let's go to ChatGPT. First, I want everyone to understand this about Dinah, which makes it even more disturbing. The story of Dinah is not real. Well, let me come off screen share. Here is the here here's what's even more disturbing than the story itself. What's more disturbing than the story itself of massacre and revenge and grape, the things we have to say on YouTube so that YouTube doesn't, all the things, sexual assault, things like that. All the things that were in this story were made up. Now imagine that. This is not a factual story. This is not, Dinah never existed. There's no such person as Dinah. There's no such person as Shechem or Shechem, the son of Hamor, Simeon and Levi. So why would they make up a story like this? The story was more disturbing than the story itself is the people who made up the story. That's more disturbing even than the story, that they sat down and they concocted a story like this. That's disturbing. That's disturbing. So now hold that in your mind. And now let's go to the scholarship and the proof and ChatGPT and all of that. Okay. How you loving? How you loving? How you loving? Come on in, come on in, come on in. We are having a discussion about the Bible. Okay. Now let's go over here to ChatGPT and what I ask it. Here is my first prompt. In Genesis chapter 34, the Bible tells the story of Dinah. Is this a historical event according to biblical scholarship? I don't want the answer from Chat GPT about religion, because if I had asked it, is this story true from the Bible? It probably would have given me a religious answer. I don't want to hear anything about religion. I don't want to hear anything about people's made up dogma and doctrine, things made up by humans. I want to know what the scholars, the true historical scholars, are saying about evidence, about textual evidence, about archaeological evidence, about evidence that would support this story being real. What are the scholars who have dug deeply into this saying? Now, I don't take just the word of the scholars. I'd like to know that as one point of reference. Short answer, no. Is this a historical event? Short answer, no. According to critical historical biblical scholarship, the story of Dinah in Genesis 34 is not treated as a record of a verifiable historical event. It is understood instead as a literary, ideological, and ideological narrative shaped to explain later realities and values. What? What? That's first. Story's not even real. It's a literary, ideological narrative. It's literature. Okay. What Genesis 34 is from a scholarly lens, what is it? An ideological narrative, a story written to explain later social, political, or ethnic conditions. So why are we in the conditions that we are in now? Let's make up a story about what happened before that led to where we are now. A tribal memory or legend, not an eyewitness account, part of the patriarchal cycle, which itself is widely regarded as prehistory, not history in the modern sense. The chapter explains why Shechem, the city people, is hostile or morally condemned. So this is an ideological assault on a group of people and why they are morally reprehensible. They're morally reprehensible because the very prince, who is the son of the king, raped, assaulted one of our virgins. Why Simeon and Levi later lose status among the tribes of Israel. What happened with Simeon and Levi? Well, what could we make up about why they're disinherited? They had to have done something really bad to be disinherited. What can we make up about them being disinherited? Kill a bunch of people. Yeah, kill people. Okay, how are we going to? Okay, well, let's take this story and let's add a list twist to it. And let's say that they deceit and massacre. Oh, we put those two together. That's really bad. That's really bad. Okay, lack of historical corroboration. There is no independent evidence, archaeological, epigraphic, or textual, confirming a historical Dinah. I'm so happy about that. I'm so happy that a real girl didn't really experience these things. I'm so happy. I'm actually relieved that this story was made up. I'm so happy that Dinah, there was no real Dinah that actually got raped. I'm very happy that there was actually no Shechem that was slaughtered, that there was no massacre of all the men and a taking of all the women and children. I'm actually relieved about that. Phew. Thank you, Bible, for just telling us stories. Thank you, Bible. Thank you. No independent evidence, archaeological, epigraphic, or textual of a historical Shechem, son of Hamor. Now we have a whole lot of evidence of a whole lot of other people, none for this. A massacre of Shechemite males matching the biblical account. Never heard of it. And surely these people would have had some kind of things in their record about this. This absence is important because Shechem was a real major Canaanite city. So if you say this city, that lends credence to your story. So if I say this happened in Rome, and I make up a story right now that I went to Rome, and while I was in Rome, this happened, and this happened, and this happened, I'm weaving a tale, and I'm setting my tale. The setting for my tale is Rome. And because Rome is a real place, doesn't make my story real. This is what apologetics love to do in Christianity. They love to go and say, oh, look, Shechem is a real city, a real major Canaanite city. They found it. That means everything the Bible says about Shechem, it's substantiated. No, it isn't. It's not substantiated. Yeah, we have a city, and all we can substantiate is that the people used that city as a reference point for their story. Major massacres tend to leave archaeological or textual traces. If you killed all the men of the place and you took all the wives and you took all the children, someone's going to talk about it. None exists that align with Genesis 34. So, what happens is we must have corroboration in anything you read in the Bible. It needs to be corroborated for us to stake our lives on it. Otherwise, I can't stake my life on something written in a book that's 2 or 3 thousand years old, and we don't even know if the thing happened or not. How about we first find out if the thing happened or not before I stake my life on it? Like, are we going to go out on a limb that's already half detached from the tree? I don't think so. So, why does corroboration matter? Corroboration matters because if we are going to talk about Pontius Pilate, which we will when we get to the New Testament, the Roman documents, I call the New Testament a political Roman collection of works. If we talk about Pontius Pilate, we have evidence outside of the Bible that Pontius Pilate actually existed through records, through inscriptions, through literary compositions of the time. If you have no corroborating evidence, it does not automatically mean the events did not occur because the absence of evidence does not equal the evidence of absence. These two are two different things. An absence of evidence is different from evidence of absence, right? So let's just say that we have nothing outside of this story that's in the Bible to corroborate this story. Nothing's ever been found. So, how do historians have to treat that? Well, they have to treat that as if you look and look and look and look, and you don't find Harry Potter or his wand, you would have to, even though it's set in London, you would have to assume that just maybe, Harry Potter and Lord Voldemort are phantasms. They are creations of the imagination, just like Dinah and Shechem and Simeon and Levi's massacre, vengeful massacre. Whew, so happy about that. Most scholars date Genesis. Okay, so we're past that. Dinah herself, a literary figure. Dinah is a literary figure. She is in the story for a reason, for the literary value of the story. Dinah functions less as a person and more as a symbol. She represents Israel's vulnerability among the nations, male honor control through female sexuality, justification for extreme violence, framed as righteous. So we never hear Dinah speak, as it says here. Dinah never says anything. Um, in the story, which is very bizarre, Dinah never says anything, and her experience is subordinated to male retaliation. The narrative centers Simeon and Levi, not Dinah's healing or justice. So they say they're doing this massacre for her. Are they really doing this massacre for the honor of their tribe? Remember, Israel was not yet a nation. This was Jacob, whose name just got changed to Israel in the story, and his sons and daughters and two wives and two concubines living in on this patch of land next to the Shechemites or Shechem in the story. Theological and political agenda. Genesis 34 helps justify later realities. Simeon's absorption into Judah. So the tribe of Simeon being absorbed into the tribe of Judah. Levi's loss of land inheritance. Later on, supposedly Levi lost land. However, didn't the tribe of Levi go on to become the Levites, which are the priestly tribe, which didn't have land inheritance because they were priests? We'll talk about that later. Israelites' prohibition of assimilation. So they wanted to be their own people group away from this people group over here. We don't want to be assimilated. We don't want to intermarry. We want to be our own people, which means we have to keep intermarrying into our own people, weakening the gene pool. Jacob's final condemnation in Genesis 49, cursed be their anger, suggests the story is retrospective moral explanation. It's going back to try to explain some morals to the people. It is not an endorsement of the massacre. It's a warning tale about zealotry and uncontrolled violence. Now, this is how conservative versus critical scholarship differs. Traditional or confessional readings of the Bible, if you go to a traditional church and you go to apologetics, they are going to treat the story as historical or semi-historical. Critical historical scholarship sees it as legendary, didactic, ideological, unverifiable as history. Bottom line, Genesis is not considered a historically demonstrable event. It is a crafted narrative serving social, theological, and political purposes. Dinah is best understood as a literary symbolic figure, not a recoverable historical person. Okay, now here's my next question. My next question concerns the languaging used in the story. It states that there was a humiliation of Dinah. Thank you so much, Dia, for this yesterday. It was a humiliation of Dinah, yet the context reads as if this was a passionate love affair, not a grape. What is the correct reading? Okay, we want to know the original words here. This is an excellent and very important question, and you are right to notice the tension in the text. Biblical scholarship has wrestled with Genesis 34's language for centuries, precisely because the narrative sounds emotionally ambivalent while using vocabulary that signals violation. This is very important that we're asking the same questions that Bible scholars have been wrestling with for centuries. They have been wrestling with this story. Now, Bible scholars in their esteemed halls of learning are in one place. Churches and churchgoers and pastors are in another place. So if we did not go to those Bible scholars and ask them, hey, what are y'all finding? What have you all, speaking of both Christian and Jewish Bible scholars who understand Hebrew and understand the linguistics present, we would know. We would just have to take the word for the pastor. I'm not doing that. Short answer. According to critical Hebrew scholarship, Genesis 34 depicts a sexual violation, not a consensual love affair, even though later narrative elements deliberately soften or complicate that reality. Let's unpack why. So, why does it seem like in this story, and Bible scholars are going back and forth, they're wrestling with this, both Hebrew scholars, which some of them may be Jewish, not all Hebrew scholars are Jewish, and Christian scholars alike. They're wrestling with Genesis 34 because Genesis 34 is telling a very bizarre story, and it sounds like a grape. The languaging used is a grape, yet then it also has in it all this love and all this, I want to marry you, and our souls are bound together, and you never hear a word from Dinah. What's happening in this story? The key Hebrew verbs. This is where the answer lies. I'm so happy we're having this discussion. Genesis 34:2, the Hebrew narrative core uses three sequential verbs. He saw her, he took her, he lay with her, and he afflicted, humiliated her. Each verb matters. So he took her indicates that there was some kind of grabbing, right? It's force or seizure. Then he afflicted, humiliated, or violated her has a root meaning in the Hebrew language to afflict, to oppose, to oppress, to violate, to humiliate through power, to overcome someone, right? So, and you're oppressing them. The verb is unambiguously negative and is elsewhere used, that same verb, this word right here, the root in H, which is, this is the word right here. This is the actual word in Hebrew, that it is used elsewhere for grape. It is used for enslavement and is used for violent domination. There is no place in biblical Hebrew where this verb means something other than that. So the use of that verb in the story, as the people were writing that story, they knew that the people reading this would know exactly what that meant, regardless of how ambiguous the story is. Now, why the text feels like a love story but isn't, so bizarre. It's so weird. Like the people writing this story, it may have been more than one person crafting this story. And because we have no idea who wrote the Bible, we don't know who wrote the Bible. We don't know who wrote any of this. It's just like these books just show up in your house when you're like 3 or 4 or 5. For me, it was like 3 or 4. They give you this book. However you got this book, where did this book come from? Oh, God. Hmm. How did that happen? Did he like drip the pages from heaven on us and we just grabbed all the pages and glued them together? Like, how exactly did it happen? I was asking all those questions and they were like, Valerie, okay, I'm on the out again. Just believe. Just believe. That wasn't good enough for me. Why the text feels like a love story, but isn't. You're noticing something very real. The narrative shifts tone after the violation. How can we have both a rape and a love story? These people put a rape and a love story together in the same sentence. Like, what the heck? What are we supposed to believe here? We're ping ponging back and forth between two things. Was it a love affair? Was it a rape? And if it was a rape, none of this other stuff should be in here, people. Y'all, do y'all know how to write a story? Good Lord. Genesis 34:3 says, his soul clung to Dinah. He loved the young woman and spoke tenderly to her. When she was hanging around after him, afterwards, for him to do all this loving and tender talking. So glad this story is not real. I'm telling you, I am so relieved that this story is not a historical event. Scholars note that this is intentional narrative dissonance, not evidence of consent. So the people actually purposely did this. The pattern is well known in ancient literature. Here's the pattern: sexual seizure, emotional attachment, marriage negotiation. This does not retroactively make the act consensual. Absolutely, it doesn't make the act consensual on any level. Yet, what is the story that it's sending to people? Is this how y'all do business? Okay, I just go rape somebody. Okay, now I'm gonna go and ask her dad. Oh, I love her so much. The emotional attachment. Now we're gonna have marriage. What? Come on now. I'm telling you, this story is not real. This is not a real story. And who wrote it? We don't know. We don't know. Those two things right there give me all the information that I need. It could be some old dudes who wanted revenge. It could be, we don't know. I can tell you, women probably didn't write this story, right? Women probably did not write this story. Okay, now, in fact, many scholars argue Shechem's love function functions as a rhetorical minimization of violence, not a redefinition of it. Okay, and so it goes on to talk about other experiences in the Bible where this sexual violation text occurs. Why are these people writing about sexual violation and putting it in their quote unquote holy book? Why is the story in there in the first place? We couldn't get to the end result without having some kind of violation of women. These are twisted minds. These are twisted minds. If you think this stuff came from God, if you think God made up this story, I feel sorry for the person who thinks that, because they have a skewed bizarre idea of who God is. Yet in church, they ask you to accept this hook, line, and sinker that this is all God. Mm, mm. Help us. Why some readers interpret it as consensual? The reading usually arises from later apologetic traditions, patriarchal assumptions about female silence. I don't know if I believe that. The absence of Dinah's voice, I don't know if I believe that either. The presence of courtship language after the act. Where I got the idea that it sounded like a consensual love affair is from the text itself, and the reading of the text from Shechem's point of view was that he so loved this woman. And usually, rape is about power and dominance, not love. Rape isn't about love. Twisted minds hurt people. Only hurt people hurt people. People who are not hurt have no desire to go around hurting people. So love and he was so bound up with hers. He saw her; she was so beautiful. He had to have her. Maybe he was like a stalker. Maybe he was like a um, yeah, maybe like a stalker. This is a bad story. The bottom line is, this is a terrible story. All right, the term humiliation is not euphemistic. It doesn't mean emotional embarrassment. It doesn't mean loss of reputation alone. It signifies a social degradation, which brings up a bigger issue. Why is it a social degradation in the writing of these people's writing? These people, not all people, this group of people. And the only reason I'm talking about this group of people is because we inherited their writings and we were told we had to live by them. That's the only reason I'm talking about this group of people. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking about this group of people because this group of people has nothing to do with my life. Yet we are baptized, all of us, the entire Western culture has been baptized in Christianity, whether you know it or not. Even if you are an atheist, you still know about the whole Christian thing. Western civilization has been baptized in the Bible, whether you wanted to be or not, because Western civilization is built on Christianity, from the Romans and Greeks all the way down to now, by force. So, and we'll talk more about that when we get to the New Testament. So, the whole idea that this, I want you to remember who's writing this. A group of people in one tiny place are writing this story, and they're spreading it around, writing it, and they're spreading it around, they're spreading it around. Now, we'll talk about how it came to be such a huge overarching story for all of Western civilization. That didn't happen until almost 1,000 years later, about 800 years after they wrote this story, when the church fathers chose that they were going to, let's say, let me come off screen share for a second. Let me come off screen share for 1 second and share this. When the church fathers decided, let's say that this is the New Testament, it's not. This is a book of magical words that I'm currently reading. It's excellent. I'll link it. And this is the Gnostic Bible. This is incredible. I freaking love it. I'll link it. Let's say that this is the Hebrew Bible. No, let's say this is the Hebrew Bible, because the Hebrew Bible, according to what we have, is 39 books and the New Testament is 27 books. So let's pick the smaller one. But the church fathers, at their many councils, speaking over hundreds of years, wondered, should we put this Hebrew Bible together with this? And they talked about it and talked about it and talked about it. Yes, we need to put this together with this. And we talked about it and talked about it and talked about it. No, I wasn't there. Well, maybe I was in another lifetime. I don't know. Anyway, the decision was made to do a mashup. Okay, we're just going to put it together and call it one book. Here you go. Here's the Bible. Old Testament and New Testament. Here's the Bible. Somewhere around 4th, 5th century. And then it was solidified in place around the 16th century when the printing press came on board, and we could now print it and really mass distribute it all over the world. Not all over the world, all over the Western world. Many people did not, in the when they were arguing back and forth over what books were going to go into their book, they still didn't call it a Bible. Let's mash them together. We got all these scrolls going all around the world. One day somebody said, "Hey guys, how about we mash these together?" That's a great idea because I got all these scrolls I'm walking around with. I got tons of papyri, right? And then somewhere around third, fourth century, you have Codex Sinaiticus, which is the first sort of big giant Bible, but it's still different from the Bible we have. I saw Codex Sinaiticus. I'll give you a picture of Codex Sinaiticus. Let's go to, very important to see this because Codex Sinaiticus is a big deal. It is a big deal. And the reason that Codex Sinaiticus is a big deal is because it is one of the oldest Bibles on the planet. Very old, going back to like third, fourth, fifth century in that arena. I'm more precise with that dating in my book, so I won't ballpark you there. I'm saying that now so that I keep in. Okay, here we go. Let's go on screen share. These are the pictures that I have taken at, yep, our calendar. Yes, Reverend Evelyn, the Romans. Yes, our calendar is even based on Christianity. We're drenched in Christianity. So to extricate yourself from it, for all of you who are doing the powerful work to extricate yourself from it, um, is major work what you're doing. I love this. A holy book that you can't read it fully to your kids is a problem, isn't it though? Because I certainly would not read that story to my kids. A story of sexual assault and vengeful massacre. Why would I read that to my kids? Let's go to the British Museum and Library, and I will show you it is housed at the British Museum, not the British Library. They moved it over to, well, I think at one point it was in the British Museum. At one point, it may have been in the British Museum, and now it is in the British Library. And here it is. I put pictures of it in my book. This is Codex Sinaiticus. Look at that. You are looking at one of the oldest Bibles in existence. Codex Sinaiticus, around the middle of the 4th century, possibly Palestine, is a priceless treasure. Copied around the middle of the 4th century, probably in Palestine, it is the earliest surviving manuscript to contain the complete New Testament and the oldest and best witness for some of the books of the Greek version of the Old Testament. So, sort of like the Septuagint, the Greek version of the Old Testament, not Hebrew Bible. It's the Old Testament in Greek. The Codex originally contained the entire Bible in Greek, and its name, the Book from Sinai, refers to the monastery of St. Catherine at the foot of Mount Sinai, where it was kept until the middle of the 19th century when the colonizers came through and plundered it. Okay, the opening displays the end of the book of Ecclesiastes on the left. This is where it's open to, and the beginning of Song of Songs on the right. The Song of Songs is a love poem featuring a conversation between a bridegroom and his bride. In Christian tradition, this book symbolizes the loving relationship between Christ, the bridegroom, and his bride, the church. They made that up. This is recorded in the text, which assigns paragraphs to them with headings in red ink as the bridegroom speaks to his bride or the bride speaks to Christ, the bridegroom. So there you have it. Now, they put Christ in later because we do know Song of Songs was written a very long time ago. It is not, it came before Christ. So we must know that they went back retroactively and added in Christ. Okay? You are looking at one of the oldest Bibles in existence. Now let's look at Codex Alexandrinus. Here is Codex Alexandrinus, also dating to, this is about 5th century. Codex Alexandrinus. I know you didn't come here for a history lesson on the Bible, yet here we are. Right? Codex Alexandrinus is one of the three earliest manuscripts to contain the entire Bible, both the Old and New Testament, in Greek. Okay, this was in Constantinople or Asia Minor. The others are Codex Sinaiticus, which you just saw exhibited on the left. This is all in the same exhibit in the British Library, not the British Museum, the British Library. The others are Codex Sinaiticus, Codex Vaticanus, that's in the Vatican Library in Rome. Its name, the book from Alexandria, derives from the old capital of Egypt, Alexandria, where it formed part of the library of the city's archbishop. It was taken to Constantinople, modern day Istanbul, in 1621, from where it was sent to England in 1627 as a gift for King Charles I. So this one was not plundered by the colonizers. This one, I believe, was seized in war when the Arabs invaded. I gotta do my research on that. If the Arabs grabbed this from Constantinople when they went through Egypt, because we do know the Arabs came through Egypt, and that's why most of the people in Egypt look Arabic. Egypt was not originally Arabian. It was not originally Arabic. So the people that you're looking at now, they came later. The people that were there before, they were African people. Where it formed part of the libraries. Okay. Now, shown here is the end of the Gospel of Luke and the beginning of the Gospel of John. On the left-hand page, a distinctive ornamental panel or tailpiece with stylized trees and plants makes the end of Luke's Gospel, marks the end of Luke's Gospel. On the right, the Gospel of John is preceded by a list of chapters and a red tailpiece. The first line of the gospel, written at the top of the second column in red ink, denotes the start of the text. So let's look at it. You see how it has, isn't that beautiful? They have flourishes in there. They have tail pieces in there. It's very ornate. There's drawings in there. This is beautiful. I would love to get a replica of that to add to my Bible collection. I would love to have it. Now, let's go to the Ethiopian Bible, which you are looking at right now. You are looking at what is called the Octateuch. The Octateuch is oct meaning eight. It's 8 books. So let's look a little bit closer at the Octateuch and the 4 Gospels. The Octateuch is the first 8 books of the Old Testament and the 4 Gospels and several canons of church councils. Now, we know that the Ethiopian Bibles are extremely old. This particular Octateuch and 4 Gospels dates to the 17th century in Ethiopia. However, we do know that the Ethiopian Bible is far older than that. They're just saying this particular manuscript. A copy of a 15th century manuscript. It was probably commissioned by the Ethiopian Emperor Ieyasu, reigned from 1682 to 1706. Notes in the manuscript suggest it was produced for the Church of Deborah Berhan Selassie, one of Ethiopia's most important churches. The manuscript is written in Ge'ez, which is classical Ethiopic, in a small, elegant script. The lavish decorations include embellished borders with intricate designs and numerous text illustrations in bold colors. Its original binding of stamped leather covered wood, isn't that beautiful? They took wood, covered it with leather, stamped it, is lined with silk. Do you see how much people went through to do this? This is all being written by hand because we don't have the printing press. Well, this is 17th century. It's dated to the 17th century, but it's a copy of a 15th century manuscript. Manuscript means that it was written by hand, manuscript. So it was manually written by hand. This is not printed on a printing press. We didn't get the printing press until later. So imagine that these people were painstakingly writing. Imagine if you had to write the entire Bible. The opening shows the evangelists, St. Matthew and St. Mark. Now, taken from the Church of the Savior, of the world of Magdala by British armed forces in Abyssinia in 1868 and given to the British Museum Library by the Secretary of State for India. So that tells you right there that the colonizers, the British had dealings in India, as we know, with that royal company that was going around and plundering everything. And had the British armed forces invade Ethiopia. They went into one of the most revered churches of all, and the armed forces took the Ethiopian Bible out of the church and never gave it back. Ethiopia is still petitioning the UK government to return their treasures. And the UK government has said, oh, we have a law, we can't return stolen goods. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. These colonizers, I'm telling you, the second they stop acting like colonizers is the second we'll stop calling them colonizers. As long as they continue to behave as colonizers and keeping the stolen goods and charging money for people to come in. Well, actually, they don't charge money at the British Library. It's free. Thanks. You give your stolen goods, let the stolen goods be in there for free. This is what it looks like. So if you look at this, look how beautiful this Ethiopian Bible is. Look how beautiful. Can you see the workmanship, the artistry, the devotion, the dedication that would have gone into this? This is St. Matthew and St. Mark. Can you imagine? Is that what it said in the pic? Let me make sure that I got my two apostles correct. This is, yes, St. Matthew and St. Mark. That's what is depicted here. And in that style, you can see that they're Black. They're Ethiopian, which I love that. I love that St. Matthew and St. Mark are Ethiopian. And this, of course, they would make them Ethiopian. And that there are halos around their heads and they're wearing Ethiopian garb. It's just beautiful. It's colorful. It's beautiful, and the colonizers stole it. I'm just saying what I'm saying. Okay. I'm just saying what I'm saying. All right. Yeah, they make a law to protect themselves. Isn't that interesting? It's funny how they made laws to make it illegal to send the stolen goods back to the people they belong to. Isn't that fascinating? Really is. That's disrespectful. Isn't that the truth? I mean, it, and have it on display. And on display, it says, "Oh yeah, yeah, we bum rushed the church and stole it out of there." Somebody probably forced them to put on there. You better tell how you got this. Somebody probably forced them to put on the afros and halos. Don't you love it? Dear, don't you love it? I love that. Afros and halos. Oh my God. Yeah, they're straight up Ethiopian. Saint Matthew and Saint Mark. If you ever get the opportunity, you need to go. This is what you want to do. You want to go to New York. You want to board the Queen Mary 2. This is exactly what I did. You want to go to New York and you want to board the Queen Mary 2 and you want to take the transatlantic voyage. This is exactly what I did. I'll show you the Queen Mary 2. I want you to go. I know this sounds so crazy and bizarre, doesn't it? Does this sound crazy and bizarre that I'm telling you to do something like this? I promise you, if you do this, it will blow your entire mind. Okay, let me go to, here it is, Queen Mary. I want you to go. This is me going to get on the Queen Mary. And I want you to get on the Queen Mary to ocean liner. It's not even a cruise ship. It's called an ocean liner. It is, you could probably fit two or three cruise ships inside this thing. It's a city on just walking, right? Okay, so here you see me boarding the Queen Mary 2 ocean liner. This is an ocean. Yeah, they're playing the piano and all that. The food the food is very good, yet it wasn't the best that I've had on a cruise ship. Of course, they give you a little bottle of champagne with the 2 glasses, it's already chilled, it's in the fridge waiting when you get there, and I'm just elated. I'm here in um, my ocean view balcony, um, suite room thing. What do you call it? Stateroom thing. And we have high tea every day. This is part of the um, Bon Voyage party when we are actually pushing off from New York to head across the ocean. And I had never been on an ocean liner before. We're saying bye to New York. You see the New York skyline right there. There's Freedom Tower right there. And we're saying bye to New York. We're about to go under the Verrazano Narrows Bridge. And I'm on an actual ocean liner. I'm on an ocean liner. And then after that, this is me in my place, and this is me getting breakfast in bed just about every single day. Because don't tell me I can have breakfast in bed. I'm gonna have it just about every single day. And then after that, all I saw was water. This is all I saw for 9 days. You look out, water. You look up, clouds, sky. Sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's sun. You see water. We passed over the remains of the Titanic where it went down. It was, you could almost feel it, like there's a whole lot of dead people under us right now. And so get on that. And once you get on that, what you're going to do is, I'm going to give you the exact directions of what you're going to do. You're going to land in London. Well, it's not London, and you got to get into London. You're going to land there, and you can take a train straight into London, or you can take the little shuttle. They have all the, or an Uber. You can take whatever you want. You're going to go into London, stay there for a couple of days. You're going to get a tour to take you to Stonehenge. So you're going to go to Stonehenge. That's exactly what I did. I went to Stonehenge, and you're going to hang out at Stonehenge. You're going to study the ancient stones. You're going to understand this was not built by any civilization that we know of. Anunnaki strikes again. And then you are going to go one of the days to the British Museum, and you're going to see the Rosetta Stone. You're going to see the ancient Sumerian text. Hey, AI agrees that you need to do this. Promise me that you're going to do this at one point in your life. AI agrees you need to do this. If you're hearing this message from me, this is for you. This is for you. Do it. And once you get to the British Museum, you're going to go all around and you're going to look at the Sumerian artifacts. You're going to look at the tablets that they found in ancient Sumeria that describe the events in the Bible, 1,000 years or so, written 1,000 years or so before the Bible was ever thought of being written. And you're going to go to the British Library, because when you go to the British Library, that's where you're going to see the exhibit that has all of the old Bibles. Well, not all of them, because Codex Vaticanus is in the Vatican, hence the name. So we have Codex Alexandrinus, Codex Sinaiticus, Codex Vaticanus is over in the Vatican, and Codex Ephraemi Rescriptus is not there. I didn't see it in the British Museum. I mean, in the British Library. I don't think it's there. You also see the Octateuch. You also see the Ethiopian Bible. I mean, incredible Bibles. Incredible Bibles. So for anyone who comes into my comments, you know, when you see these people coming into my comments, then we're going to get into the reading of Genesis 35 and 36. You see these people that come into my comments, you need to read the Bible. You don't know anything about the Bible. Yeah, because the Bible says. I'm like, okay. My first thought is, shut the fuck up. My next thought is, okay. My third thought is, you know what? Let's pray for these people. Let's help it. Let's just send love. Because what can you do with willful ignorance? What can you do? That it's already done. Come on, Reverend Evelyn. It is already done. Reverend Evelyn, aren't you feeling that? This is the perfect trip for anyone who is a spiritual seeker. It's the perfect trip. You just board the plane, board the ship right there in New York Harbor. It's in Brooklyn, and you just go on over. 9 days on the ocean. 9 days, no stops. You just go straight. It's transatlantic, no stops. You can meditate, you can write, you can create, you can chill. Now, you can get the Wi-Fi package if you want to, because the Wi-Fi bounces from the satellite. So you can still, because there's no towers anywhere near you. Ain't no cell phone towers. There's nothing anywhere near you. You're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. There's nothing nowhere, anywhere. I never knew how vast the ocean was until I was on the ocean for days upon days upon days. And you just look to the left, and you look to the right, you see nothing. Every so often we would see dolphins. jumping. We would see, you could do whale watching at certain points of the year. You just see marine life. They're like, oh, look, humans. Hey, humans. Uh, Other than that, is it's water. It's water. That's when I knew, wow, we're really on a water planet. Because if this water wanted to get rid of us, it would just get rid of us just like this. Like it's so much water on this planet. Okay. It is amazing. You have got to do it. Tony said, starting with shut the fuck up. And then we're going to go to the compassion, because I am a minister. I have to be compassionate to people. And so except the real job of a minister, do you want me to tell you the real job of a minister? The real job of a minister is to afflict the comfortable and to comfort the afflicted. That is the real job of a minister, to afflict the comfortable and to comfort the afflicted. That when I heard that, I was like, that's my job. Afflict the comfortable and comfort the afflicted. That is my job as a minister. Now, as a Christian witch, my job is shut the fuck up. Do the whatever the hell I feel like doing. Okay. There's different aspects of me, baby. There's different. You got different layers. There's layers to this shit. Okay, you don't know what Valerie you might get. You might get the Kaisi ayahuasca home, beautiful meditating Reverend Val, or you might get the job from Harlem. Step wrong, and let's see what happens. It's gonna be a FAFO. It's gonna be a fuck around and find out. You could be getting that version too. Baby, there's a lot of things going on inside of here. All right, let's go to Genesis chapter 35 in chapter 36. And I do want to give a big shout out to Dia. Dia, thank you so much for making our discussion so much richer by asking those questions and by stating what the Hebrew states, so that we could really get to the bottom of the Dinah story and understand, first, the story is not real. Second, this story, the strange people who wrote this story were describing a sexual assault followed by a love proclamation and request for marriage, a proposal followed by a massacre, revenge massacre. I'm happy the story's not real. Let's continue with Genesis chapter 35 in the book that should be X-rated. No one should be reading these things to their children. I would consider that abuse to subject your children to this. The Bible needs to have a warning on it. 21. You can't even be 18. You better be 21, because you need to have a couple of alcohol shots when you read the Bible. Okay. God said to Jacob, arise, go up to Bethel and live there. Make there an altar to God, who appeared to you when you fled from the face of Esau, your brother. Then Jacob said to his household and to all who were with him, put away the foreign gods that are among you. Purify yourselves and change your garments. Let's arise and go up to Bethel. I will make there an altar to God, who answered me in the day of my distress and was with me on the way which I went. They gave to Jacob all the foreign gods which were in their hands, and the rings which were in their ears, and Jacob hid them under the oak which is by Shechem. They traveled, and a terror of God was on the cities that were around them, and they didn't pursue the sons of Jacob. So Jacob came to Luz, that is Bethel, which is in the land of Canaan, he and all the people who were with him. He built an altar there and called the place El Bethel, because there God was revealed to him when he fled from the face of his brother. Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died, and she was buried below Bethel under the oak, and its name was called Alon Bakuth. God appeared to Jacob again when he came from Paddan Aram and blessed him. God said to him, your name is Jacob. Your name shall not be Jacob anymore, but your name will be Israel. He named him Israel. God said to him, I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations will be from you, and kings will come out of your body. The land which I gave to Abraham and Isaac, I will give it to you and to your offspring. After you, I will give the land. God went up from him in the place where he spoke with him. Jacob set up a pillar in the place where he spoke with him, a pillar of stone. He poured out a drink offering on it and poured oil on it. Jacob called the name of the place where God spoke with him Bethel. They traveled from Bethel. There was still some distance to come to Ephrath, and Rachel travailed. She had hard labor. When she was in hard labor, the midwife said to her, "Don't be afraid, for now you will have another son." As her soul was departing, for she died, she named him Benoni, but his father named him Benjamin. Rachel died and was buried on the way to Ephrath, also called Bethlehem. Jacob set up a pillar on her grave. The same is the pillar of Rachel's grave to this day. Israel traveled and spread his tent beyond the Tower of Eder. While Israel lived in that land, Reuben went and lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard of it. Now the sons of Jacob were 12. The sons of Leah, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel, Joseph, and Benjamin. The sons of Bilhah, Rachel's servant, Dan and Naphtali. The sons of Zilpah, Leah's servants, Gad and Asher. These are the sons of Jacob who were born to him in Paddan Aram. Jacob came to Isaac his father, to Mamre, to Kiriath Arba, which is Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac lived as foreigners. The days of Isaac were 180 years. Isaac gave up the spirit and died, and was gathered to his people, old and full of days. Esau and Jacob, his sons, buried him. Footnote to Genesis chapter 35, verse 18, Benoni means son of my trouble. Footnote to Genesis 35:18, Benjamin means son of my right hand. Just a note about the word Deborah, it can be pronounced Deborah or Deborah. Genesis chapter 36. Now this is the history of the generations of Esau, that is, Edom. Esau took his wives from the daughters of Canaan, Adah, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, and Oholibamah, the daughter of Anna, the daughter of Zibeon the Hivite, and Basemath, Ishmael's daughter, son of Nebaioth. Adah bore Esau Eliphaz. Basemath bore Ruel. Oholibamah bore Jeush, Jalam, and Korah. These are the sons of Esau, who were born to him in the land of Canaan. Esau took his wives, his sons, his daughters, and all the members of his household, with his livestock, all his animals, and all his possessions, which he had gathered in the land of Canaan, and went into a land away from his brother Jacob. For their substance was too great for them to dwell together, and the land of their travels couldn't bear them because of their livestock. Esau lived in the hill country of Seir. Esau is Edom. This is the history of the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites in the hill country of Seir. These are the names of Esau's sons. Eliphaz, the son of Ada, the wife of Esau, and Reuel, the son of Basemath, the wife of Esau. The sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Zepho, and Getam, and Kenaz. Timnah was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bore to Eliphaz Amalek. These are the descendants of Ada, Esau's wife. These are the sons of Reuel, Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. These were the descendants of Basemath, Esau's wife. These were the sons of Oholibamah, the daughter of Anna, the daughter of Zibeon, Esau's wife. She bore to Esau Jeush, Jalam, and Korah. These are the chiefs of the sons of Esau, the sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn of Esau. Chief Teman, Chief Omar, Chief Zepho, Chief Kenaz, Chief Korah, Chief Gatam, Chief Amalek. These are the chiefs who came of Eliphaz in the land of Eden. These are the sons of Ada. These are the sons of Reuel, Esau's sons. Chief Nahath, Chief Zerah, Chief Shammah, Chief Mizah. These are the chiefs who came of Reuel in the land of Edom. These are the sons of Basemath, Esau's wife. These are the sons of Oholibamah, Esau's wife. Chief Jeush, Chief Jalam, Chief Korah. These are the chiefs who came of Oholibamah, the daughter of Anna, Esau's wife. These are the sons of Esau, that is, Edom, and these are their chiefs. These are the sons of Seir the Horite, the inhabitants of the land: Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anna, Dishon, Ezer, and Dishan. These are the chiefs who came of the Horites, the children of Seir in the land of Edom. The children of Lotan were Hori and Heman. Lotan's sister was Timnah. These are the children of Shobal: Alvin, Manahath, Ebal, Shepho, and Onam. These are the children of Zibeon: Ea and Anna. This is Anna, who found the hot springs in the wilderness as he fed the donkeys of Zibeon his father. These are the children of Anna: Dishon and Oholibamah, the daughter of Anna. These are the children of Dishon: Himdan, Eshban, Ithran, and Cheran. These are the children of Ezer: Bilhan, Zaavan, and Akan. These are the children of Dishan: Uz and Aran. These are the chiefs who came of the Horites: Chief Lotan, Chief Shobal, Chief Zibeon, Chief Anna, Chief Dishon, Chief Ezer, and Chief Dishan. These are the chiefs who came of the Horites, according to their chiefs of the land of Seir. These are the kings who reigned in the land of Edom, before any king reigned over the children of Israel. Bela, the son of Beor, reigned in Edom. The name of his city was Dinhabah. Bela died, and Jobab, the son of Zerah of Basra, reigned in his place. Jobab died, and Husham of the land of the Timonites reigned in his place. Husham died, and Hadad, the son of Bedad, who struck Midian in the field of Moab, reigned in his place. The name of his city was Avith. Hadad died, and Samlah of Masrekah reigned in his place. Samlah died, and Shaul of Rehoboth by the river reigned in his place, or Rehoboth. Shaul died, and Baal Hanan, the son of Achbor, reigned in his place. Baal Hanan, the son of Achbor, died, and Hadar reigned in his place. The name of his city was Pau. His wife's name was Mehetabel, the daughter of Matred, the daughter of Mizahab. These are the names of the chiefs who came from Esau according to their families, after their places, and by their names: Chief Timnah, Chief Alva, Chief Jetheth, Chief Oholibama, Chief Elah, Chief Pinon, Chief Kenaz, Chief Timon, Chief Mibzar, Chief Magdiel, and Chief Iram. These are the chiefs of Edom, according to their inhabitations in the land of their possession. This is Esau, the father of the Edomites. Genesis chapter 36. Well, family, I actually got through all the names. My tongue is whirling around in circles. I got through all the names. Whew. That is Genesis chapter 35 and 36. I do want to give, and we had a ton of commentary at the beginning, so we're not going to have a ton of commentary now. I do want to say one thing, because not much happened in this other than genealogy. And we had such a riveting discussion yesterday and such a riveting discussion today. I do want to say something about Genesis 35. Do you notice that the Bible doesn't say that there is one God? The Bible says, put away the other gods for my God. It doesn't say there's one God. It never says there's one God, other than when it's quoting people who say that it's one God. Let's look at it. Let's look at it so that we can be clear. Genesis 35 doesn't talk about one God at all. When I say the real God is not in the Bible, this is not speaking of the real God at all. Here he says, his God, his Elohim, who renamed him Jacob to Israel, for the El beings, the Elohim, who in my regard are Anunnaki beings. These are patterned on Anunnaki beings. Here it is. What did he say to his people? Okay, the first contradiction is, be fruitful and multiply. But this same God told us just a few chapters back that people are evil and the heart of man is evil all the time, and he destroyed them all. And then he said the heart of a man is evil all the time. He said it again. And now he's saying, have as many kids as you want. This is not the same person. We know the Anunnaki put into place human population control mechanisms. All right, here is what he says to his family. This is what Jacob says to his family. Jacob said to his household and all who were with him, put away the foreign gods that are among you. In other words, these are gods too. Put them away, because we're now going to come to my God. Let's arise and go up to Bethel. I there will make an altar to God who answered me in the day of my distress. Let's look in Scripture for All at Genesis chapter 35, verse 2 and 3. So we're going to go to Scripture for All, which is a Hebrew interlinear Bible. And we are going to look up Hebrew to English. And we are going to look up Genesis chapter 35, verses 2 and 3 to see what versions of God they use in that particular instance. Then Genesis says, okay, then Jacob said unto his household, gods, okay, put away the strange gods that are among you, and be clean and change your garments, okay? There I will make an altar unto God, capital G. So let's look and see what's here originally. In the Hebrew, household Elohim. Do you see that? Put away your Elohim for my Elohim. Do you see that? You're going to leave your father's Elohim because remember, Rachel sat upon the gods of, or the teraphim. We don't know what the teraphim actually is, but we can do some deep dive on the tele, uh, teraphim. Okay. And then it says, I will go and there make an altar to El. Put away the Elohim. However, you do remember he's saying, put away the Elohim of your people. And remember in Genesis 1:1, it says, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. Let's go to it. The same word is used. Genesis 1:1. That word continues to come up. In the beginning, Elohim. Now Jacob is saying to his family, put away the Elohim of your people. You see, this word Elohim cannot mean the one true God. Cannot. Thank you so much, Angel. Thank you so much with them words. Okay. So are we really starting to understand the Bible? Are we starting to understand that the real God is not in the Bible? Are we starting to understand this? I also want to make sure that you go to valerielove.com and at valerielove.com/Bible. I have the links to what we're doing here. And I want you to make sure that you also get the book, The Real God is Not in the Bible. I want you to get the paperback and hardcover on Kickstarter. The Kickstarter is not yet live. I want you to open your account so that you will be notified when the Kickstarter is live to get the paperback and the hardcover. The paperback and hardcover will not be released on Amazon until we are done with the Kickstarter. There you will be getting signed copies of the book, The Real God is Not in the Bible. Oh my goodness, this is a groundbreaking book. It gives you all the facts, figures. It will give you everything you require to have in your hand in one place, all the reference points you desire to be able to know within yourself the truth. And you will radiate that truth to people around you and the people who want to be free of dogma and doctrine and the heavy yoke of carrying the Bible and believing that they have to live up to this impossible standard and believing that the Bible is from God. They will be free of all of that. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. I'm Reverend Valerie Love at your service. So delighted to be here with you. I love and appreciate you for being with us in this. See you tomorrow. Peace.